for your right.
Is there a difference between the way you learn at school and the way you learn at YLP?
Yes. Well, at school, there's just an instructor that's telling me, not really telling me, but teaching me, and yeah, that's basically it. But when I'm here, I feel like it's more engaging because, like, everyone has a chance to speak, like, everyone has their own ideas, and they're given a chance to express it. So it's definitely different.
Basically, what YLP made me realize it is that we get to just basically share our ideas with some sort of subject or broad area that we're letting, that's like an outlet for us to like talk about what we feel and what we think and what we could potentially do with that. And the anti-oppressive part is basically not having some sort of framework for you to contain the ideas and your thoughts. So, I mean, a lot of the workshops that we've been doing with YLP kind of use that guideline, not having some sort of framework. So you can basically run with these ideas and not have to go under some sort of hierarchy or something.
Well, I would say anti-oppressive, I guess, being a part of this program and viewing it through an anti-oppressive lens would be more of like just really giving folks the option to know that they have a right to agree or disagree with anything that's being brought into their community as far as food choices and other community choices, and just giving folks the option that they do have a right to speak when they're not agreeing with something. And to kind of change the structure of how things were normally done.
To teach, people who would consider themselves, maybe I'm a little bit biased because I grew up like in the inner city, but to teach people who consider themselves oppressed, to be strong and not to feel oppressed.
Well, I don't think that many of us were not aware what that anti-oppressive education was a way of learning and teaching. So I really value this system now, and I saw the value of it through YLP because I think most people, the way that they encounter situations in which they learn is maybe in their school, if they're a student, and in their workplace, if they're a working person. And we don't really have opportunities to examine issues such as food justice. So, and if we are learning, we're learning in this kind of manner where maybe we're not as vocal, maybe we don't seem like it's not as encouraged to incorporate our ideas into what we're learning. And I really think that from the anti-oppressive model of YLP, we have this very comfortable environment in which we can all learn something valuable from each other.
How would you say that how you learn at YLP is different from the way you learn at school?
Because I guess we are a family here, we're a small family, and here we join together with our voices and we just try to incorporate everybody, and it's not boring, it's not like a lecture. You actually come in a circle and you could speak, say whatever you want, and nobody would judge you. They would actually continue with your idea and they would try to incorporate it in everything.
YLP's has helped me understand anti-oppressive education through the workshops, really. I mean, that's, and seeing, not just seeing, but being part of engagement with, and not just sort of teaching to, I guess, the students. Just for all the moments that I found myself learning from them in terms of just details that they would give me either about life in and around East Harlem or about their own experiences or just insights that they would have just into socio-political or cultural issues. That sort of interaction is what sort of validated the anti-oppressive mold for me, I guess.
How is that sort of interaction anti-oppressive?
You want to try to take a stab at this, Megan?
Well, I mean, it's one. Okay, so I'm not going to answer that question exactly, but I'm going to talk about something else. So
it's anti-oppressive answering to your question.
Exactly. So I know a lot of things, and I can teach people a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I think that anti-oppressive education is really about having a dialogue between people, between groups, to learn from each other. The reason that it's anti-oppressive is I think that it takes a focus on groups instead of like a hierarchy. So there's, in education, they're already coming from a place where they are taught to by a teacher, they have to do homework, etc. And it's very hierarchical. And they, this is completely different because we are adults, we're the same age as their teachers, but we're not telling them what to do, and we're not telling them what I know is more important than what you know. And it's anti-oppressive because that's a similar framework that is coming from all kinds of, not just in education, but all kinds of areas where people are working against oppression, where what you say is not more important than what I say, and my experience is not more valuable than your experience, etc., etc. So I think that YLP does that because we really, not in addition to having all our classes in a circle and that kind of thing, like we actively look to see what the high school students are interested in learning. We ask them for feedback constantly. We allow them to do their own activities and practice, and do what they want to. I mean, within guidance, but come up with their own ways to express what they want to say.
I think it's anti-oppressive in that it doesn't privilege one type or one type of knowledge or one way of, or one mode of doing something over another. Basically, like in high school and college, professors or teachers are certified in what they do, and their knowledge or their way of doing things is validated by this sort of system that they go through, and that's great. And there's value in that. Certainly, I'm trying to go through that system, so I see some value in that. But at the same time, there are all kinds of things. Most things, in fact, the vast majority of things that those systems, ways of thinking about things, just do not account for. And anti-oppressive education aims to, by emphasizing the group, as Megan said.
Anti-oppressive education, to me, to answer that question, I would first have to answer or think about what oppressive education means. So to me, I think our current education system right now is very oppressive from things such as the curriculum that is being taught. As a person who is Native American, in high school, I rarely saw anything about my people or like my culture or Native American in general. There's always this very, Eurocentric curriculum being taught. So that's one way in which education is oppressive, but also just the power dynamics that's set in place between like the teacher and the student, about there not being any shared, form of discussion going on between the teacher and the student. It's very the banking system where the teacher is telling everything to the student and really not allowing the student themselves to engage in different conversations or feel that they have a voice in the classroom, I guess, if that makes sense.
And how has the leadership program helped you formulate these ideas about anti-oppression?
Basically allows the kids to have a voice. That's what I would expect from that. And YLP taught me something about the anti-oppressive teaching model, which is basically just being a facilitator as a leader to allow everyone else in the group to be the teacher.
How would you say anti-oppressive education differs from the way you might have conceived of education before coming into contact with that theory in YLP?
It's a great question. I'm used to education in a way less democratic and more, I don't know if it would be dictatorship. I don't mean to be too intense, but it's very, someone's in charge and everyone else is below them, instead of flipping that and having the kids in a way lead the discussion through a facilitator.
Okay,
Yeah.
2. Oh.
We believe that leadership is initiative.
Empowerment.
Respect. Strength.
Understanding.
Coming out of your comfort zone.
Confidence.
Hope.
Determination. Courage.
Love. Oh my God.
Preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. I know you don't know what life is really worth. It's not all that glitter is gold. After story had never been told, so now you see the light. Hey, stand up for your right.
When I came to YLP, I came specifically for community service hours. But then after being here, I realized how it could help me to be more of a leader and more of an outspoken person because I'm normally shy. So since being at YLP, I've found ways to communicate better with people. And since being at YLP, I've wanted to help people more. Like it sparked an interest in me for community service and reaching out to the community.